For 6 months, 27 people in the Pacific Northwest opened their homes to share their personal experiences with tuberculosis, or TB. Their stories uncovered insights that may change your perception and understanding of TB. Older generations thought of TB with only negative feelings, such as fear, isolation, and death. Today, we can make the realities of TB different from the past. Those who have TB stories to share, no matter what their age, often bring up thoughts of hope, support, and the fact that TB is curable. Yet most people have only a vague idea about what TB actually is.
I don't know, maybe it's curable, I don't know.
Do you know anything else about it at all?
No.
So where do you think it probably is common?
It's most common in like Africa, Middle East, and India, right?
Personally, I don't know much about tuberculosis, but just the sound of it sounds pretty severe, I guess. It just sounds like something that's not good.
What was it called? Tombstone. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
And what was that guy? Not White or the other one. One of the famous gun stars where he had it in the movie.
What did he do?
He just coughed a lot, laid in bed, and then he died.
So do you have any certain images in your mind that it conjures up, or any thoughts, or?
Other than wearing a mask,
Okay.
I guess. That's about it.
So what is TB? TB is a bacterial disease that is passed person to person through the air. People breathe the bacteria into their lungs where it may multiply. But tuberculosis can go to any part of the body and cause harm. The good news? TB is preventable, treatable, and curable. Common TB symptoms may include a bad cough that lasts 3 weeks or longer, pain in the chest, weakness or fatigue, weight loss, no appetite, chills, fever, night sweats, or coughing up blood or phlegm from deep inside the lungs. But TB can also take another form.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I have something to tell you. Sometimes TB will stay in your body and not cause any problems or symptoms. This is called latent TB. It is important to be tested for TB if you think you've been exposed, whether you have symptoms or not. My mom had latent TB and took the TB medicine and was thankfully cured.
TB impacts individuals, their families, friends, and their community. The more we hear about the realities of TB from all generations, the more compassion and support we can provide to those who, through no fault of their own, were exposed and infected with the TB bacteria. In 1993, Linda was diagnosed with TB. The side effects of the TB medication made Linda feel extremely sick.
And I was so sick, I just threw the towel in. I'm done. I don't care. I'm at that turning point where I'm just throwing the towel in. I don't care if I drop dead or not. That's how sick I was.
She stopped taking the medication and hid from the Snohomish Health District employees who were managing her care.
But I didn't really actually mentally realize the severity of it in impacting others. The way I was floating around when Snohomish Health Department found me.
When Linda was found, she was homeless and extremely ill with compounding health issues. The Snohomish Health District watched Linda take every dose of her TB medication for 9 months until she fully recovered.
Yeah, they stood right there. Made sure I put it in my mouth, drank a glass of water, and made sure that I was getting it in my system day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. I didn't think that'd ever end. I was at the bottom of the bottom and trying to come back up. And I look at myself now and go, wow, I'm just so thank God that I did make it. Yeah. Thank God for Snohomish Health Department.
Before antibiotics helped to cure people with TB, many people with active tuberculosis were sent to TB hospitals or sanatoriums. To be separated from your family and friends even for a few months was an emotional experience that left deep wounds for some TB patients. Not all staff members were kind, and not all families were supportive 100% of the time. but many TB Voice participants discovered caring and compassionate doctors and nurses. They found ways to cope with their situation, ways to feel human, to be lighthearted, ways to find joy in a very grim situation. In the words of one participant, if you didn't find ways to laugh, you would never stop crying. Alice claims she could have fun in a closet. But in 1948, her humor was tested when she was diagnosed with TB of the spine and sent to live at Furland TB Sanatorium for 2 years.
I went into Furland shortly after my 18th birthday, I think. I was put into a room with 6 other people, most of them older than I was, but one was young as I was, so she and I had a ball. Jumping out of bed, going down the hallway, running down to see the handsome doctor, and then all of a sudden the doctors caught up with us and said, "You stay in bed. Don't get out of bed." And within a week, I was in a body cast that topped this little niche in the chest so that I was not able to raise my head. I was lying flat, horizontal in bed. I could not raise my head. That was part of why it was so high. It went to just above my knees. And I was totally wrapped in this plaster of Paris. It took hours for it to dry. It took hours for it to dry. And they covered us with a tent of lights to heat and fans to dry it out.
Although Alice spent nearly 7 months in that double-layered cast and 2 months in bed recovering from a spinal fusion, she credits her medical staff, friends, and a positive attitude with saving her life. Alice met and married Clarence, also a patient at Furland. Fati lives in Seattle, but in 2004, she was a young mother living in Kenya, taking care of a family member with TB who had been abandoned by everyone around her. Because of Fati's determination to support and care for this woman, despite the risk of infection and the family's fears, the woman was cured and regained her strength after a 9-month TB treatment. Fati believes education about TB and compassion are the keys to getting rid of the TB stigma that exists in many cultures around the world.
I understand that we are all human beings. We're family, we're friends, we're community, we're neighbor. We need to support one another. We need to help one another. And we need to be there for each other. And it really breaks my heart that I'm from Africa, I'm an immigrant, but there is a lot of things going on that in my own community, and they don't really understand. It's not only they don't understand, but they don't have the knowledge, and I wish they seek knowledge and educate themselves so that they understand that, there is a lot of circumstances in this world, and we're all human beings. This person doesn't ask you to be sick. If you have someone who is sick, whether it's your family, your friend, all you need is to be there for him morally. You don't have to give them anything. You don't have to tell them anything. But the help that they can get from you is going to make their disease or the sickness they have, it will ease the pain for them. Because as long as they smile, as long as they know that there is somebody out there for them, as long as they know that people care immorally and emotionally, their own mind will say, you know what, I'm not alone. I have someone, people love me. But the thing is that we don't control, we don't ask to be sick. Just educate yourself and understand there's a lot going on there. It could be you. What would you do? If you get sick, think about it. If you get sick and you don't have the support, and you don't have the resources, and you don't know anything, what would you do? You want to treat people the way you want to be treated.
The 27 participants in the TB Voices project spoke up to give us a better understanding of the realities of tuberculosis inspire those currently impacted by TB, and to help end the stigma associated with it. TB is no longer at epidemic levels in the Northwest, but we are still managing this disease in every state across the U.S. Although mostly unseen, it has not gone away. But TB is at epidemic levels around the globe. 1 in 3 people on the planet has latent TB. 8.6 million people became ill with TB in 2012, and 1.3 million people still die each year from tuberculosis. These numbers represent real people. Tuberculosis is preventable, treatable, and curable. Listening to the wisdom of those impacted by TB can help the world combat the tuberculosis stigma, fully support persons with TB, and realize the dream of a world without tuberculosis.
I think if you're ever going to contract this disease, it's probably a better time than ever in the history of the world, because there's hope.
And I think that confidence in yourself and confidence in the people that you gather around you is really absolutely critical to how we progress through this life journey.
I've always been able to see kind of the bright side of things. So I think that helps in one's healing.
You know, I spent 3 years and 5 months getting a cure. Now 6 months and you'll be fine. And you won't have to stop your activities. You can still live at home and you'll be just fine. So do it.
People who have TB and are undergoing treatment need to be reminded they're going to be cured and be supported through it. And the most important thing is not to fear it. Not to fear it.